Canada has always been an immigrant-friendly country. The first immigrants came to Canada about 400 years ago. But legislation in the 1960s and 1970s laid the groundwork for the immigration regime Canada has today, which embraces multiculturalism. Today, Canada attracts many newcomers because of the country's positive attitude towards newcomers. In addition to multiculturalism, there are many reasons newcomers love Canada. It is one of the richest and developed countries in the world. Magnificent natural beauties, including Rocky Mountains, lakes, Niagara Falls, superb healthcare system, strong social assistance programs, impartial legal system that treats everyone fairly and equally, free society with fundamental human rights, political stability, strong banking system, excellent business opportunities, education system with an international reputation of Canadian universities. On top of everything, Canada is a very safe haven for women and children. In November 2023, Canadian Immigration Minister Mark Miller announced about ramping up the immigration process in next 3 years to welcome about 500,000 new permanent residents each year. Let's see Canada's point of view on immigration, why Canada needs newcomers.
Immigration Minister Mark Miller is with us live now from Parliament Hill. Hi, Minister. Good to have you here. Thanks for making the time.
Thank you, Vashi. Are not good enough to adapt to the needs of construction. And if we're going to meet those construction targets that we're being very ambitious towards 2030 on, we're going to need 100,000 more workers. Those won't all come from Canada's domestic economy. They're going to come from abroad. But so too in the healthcare industry. And in that industry, it's very complex, obviously, because of accreditation of people, whether it's doctors or nurses, and the role is dwindling if we look at the aging of the population. So those services are at risk if we don't have migrants.
The strength of Canada's economy is measured in part by the number of employed people working and paying taxes to fund our public services like healthcare, education, transportation. The government needs tax money for these type of services, so it is extremely important to have qualified workers to fill up available jobs. However, Canadians are living longer, having fewer children, more people are retiring, less children are at school. Therefore, the number of Canadian-born potential workers are limited. Immigrants are not only improving the Canadian workforce and paying taxes, but also they are spending money on goods, housing, transportation, which is going to support the Canadian economy. According to a new study, which is projecting global population and economic trends between now and 2100, Canada's current openness to immigration must continue if the country wants to maintain one of the world's largest economies for the rest of the century. Canada is a large country with a steadily declining birth rate and a large industrial and technology sector that requires new workers yearly. Based on a report in 2022, for the first time in the Canadian history, there are more Canadians over the age of 65 than the children under the age of 15, because for nearly 50 years, women had fewer than 2 children. These demographic shifts are due to low fertility rates. In 2021, 10.25 births per 1,000 population. Populations need a birth rate of at least 2.1 births per woman just to stay even with the death rate. But Canada has not met this threshold since 1971. The life expectancy has been increasing gradually, and the number of persons aged 85 and older has doubled since 2001. According to population projections, this number could triple by 2046. When the more people ages and leave the workforce, it will put a heavy pressure on the country's labor force, and it would adversely impact on economic growth. The working age population would have to grow by 2.2% per year through 2040 to maintain the old age dependency ratio that existed in 2022. Thanks to immigration, Canada's labor force continues to grow every year. However, a new report suggests that Canada needs to welcome a lot more newcomers to counterbalance its aging population. Canadian government's increase in immigration levels could boost GDP if newcomers continue to find work in their chosen fields. More than 80% of the immigrants admitted to Canada in recent years are under 45 years old, meaning they will have plenty of working years in Canada. Although Canada is a very good country to live and undoubtedly needs immigration, Canadian immigration and settlement policies have produced some unexpected negative effects on post-secondary education, housing, the labor market, and visa and immigration processes. The international students put a heavy pressure on housing. The shelters are out of spaces. The food banks are flooded with new immigrants. Therefore, these new immigration targets cannot be viewed as merely an issue of welcoming more faces. If Canada wants to achieve its immigration dream of balance out the demographics, all three levels of governments need to work together hand in hand to plan and remove these barriers. In my next video, I am going to discuss the brick walls and hurdles that new immigrants face and what to do once they land in Canada. Especially how to obtain the social insurance card, health card, info in the housing sector, getting enrolled to English programs, re-qualification for Canadian professions, and how to access other taxpayer-funded social services.
Yeah.